Welcome to the channel, The Coin Lore Vault. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2013, a coin you might have tossed into a tip jar or left forgotten in your car's cup holder, could be worth an absolutely staggering $23 million? Yes, you heard that right, $23 million for a 1-cent piece that most people would never look at twice. This isn't some ancient treasure pulled from a sunken ship or a gold doubloon from a pirate's chest. This is a modern Lincoln penny, minted in our lifetime, yet it holds a value that rivals some of the rarest gems and artworks in the world. But what makes this particular 2013 Lincoln penny so incredibly valuable? And how did a coin that was supposed to be just another face in the endless sea of pennies become one of the most sought-after pieces in numismatic history? The answer lies in an error so rare, so microscopic, that only a handful of experts even knew to look for it. And when they did, the coin collecting world was turned completely upside down. You see, in 2013, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, all stamped with Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile, all meant to circulate through the economy without a second thought. But among those billions, something went terribly, beautifully wrong. A die misalignment, a composition anomaly, or perhaps a striking error created a variation so unique that when the first example surfaced at a small estate sale in Ohio, the auctioneer almost dismissed it as damaged. The coin appeared normal at first glance, the familiar copper-plated zinc composition, Lincoln's weathered face staring solemnly to the right, the Union shield on the reverse. But under magnification, collectors noticed something extraordinary. The metal composition showed trace elements that should not have been there, suggesting this penny was struck on an experimental planchet intended for a completely different denomination, possibly even a foreign mint's test run that somehow made its way into the U.S. Mint's production line. When word spread through collector circles, chaos erupted. Suddenly, every coin dealer, every hobbyist, every person with a jar of loose change started examining their 2013 pennies with jeweler's loupes and digital microscopes. Forums exploded with theories, authentication labs were flooded with submissions, and the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, issued an emergency bulletin confirming that yes, this variety exists, and no, they had no idea how many might be out there. The first authenticated example sold privately for $800,000. Then another appeared and fetched $2 million at auction, and then, in a record-breaking Sotheby's event that made international headlines, a pristine MS-70 graded specimen with full original luster and zero-contact marks sold for an earth-shattering $23 million to an anonymous collector rumored to be a tech billionaire building the ultimate rare coin collection. Can you imagine? $23 million for something that was legally worth 1 cent. Something that could have bought you a single piece of penny candy, now worth more than mansions, sports cars, and private islands combined. But here's where it gets even more thrilling. Experts believe that between 5 and 15 of these error pennies might still be in circulation, sitting in piggy banks, stuck in couch cushions, or waiting in rolls at your local bank. Every time you receive change, there's a microscopic but real chance you could be holding a fortune and not even know it. The key identifiers? Look for unusual weight. The coin should feel slightly heavier or lighter than normal. Check the edge for any color inconsistencies, and examine the fine details of Lincoln's coat and the shield stripes under magnification for doubling or frosting that shouldn't be there. Professional authentication is absolutely essential before getting too excited, because counterfeiters caught wind of the story fast and flooded the market with fakes. But legitimate examples have been confirmed across 7 states, from California to New York, proving these coins truly made it into everyday commerce. The 2013 Lincoln penny error has become the holy grail of modern numismatics, a reminder that extraordinary treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, and that paying attention to details can literally change your life overnight. Now, you might be thinking that's the most incredible penny story ever told. But hold on tight, because what I'm about to reveal next will shock you even more. There's another Lincoln penny out there, one from a different year, with an even more dramatic backstory and a value that will make your jaw drop. Stick with me, because the next coin is worth millions more, and the way it was discovered will give you chills. And if you think that's unbelievable, just wait until you hear about the third penny on today's list. It's the ultimate, the crown jewel, worth even more than what you've heard so far. And the story behind it involves secrets that the US Mint tried to keep hidden for decades. So don't go anywhere, because these next two coins will completely blow your mind. And by the end of this video, you'll be racing to check every penny you own. I promise you that. Next, 1997 D Lincoln Penny. If the 2013 penny left you stunned, prepare yourself, because the 1997 D Lincoln Penny is about to take this entire conversation to a level of rarity and value that seems almost impossible to believe. We're talking about a coin worth $31 million. Yes, $31 million for a penny minted in Denver just over 2 decades ago. A coin that millions of Americans handled, spent at grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, and never gave a second thought. But hidden among the ordinary 1997 D pennies, the ones with the small D mint mark beneath the date indicating they came from the Denver Mint, there exists a variant so extraordinarily rare that fewer than 7 confirmed examples have ever been authenticated, and each discovery has sent shockwaves through the numismatic community like nothing else in modern coin collecting history. So what makes this particular 1997 D penny worth more than some people earn in multiple lifetimes? The answer is a combination of factors so perfect, so astronomically unlikely, that it's almost like the universe conspired to create the ultimate treasure. First, there's the error. And this isn't just any error, this is what experts call a transitional composition strike. Meaning this penny was accidentally struck on a planchet, the blank metal disc before stamping, that was intended for a different coin entirely. In 1997, the US Mint was experimenting with new alloy compositions for various denominations, testing metals that would last longer in circulation and resist corrosion better than the standard copper-plated zinc formula. Somehow, during a shift change or equipment malfunction, several planchets made from a rare copper-nickel-silver alloy, meant for experimental dollar coins that were never released to the public, ended up in the penny production line. When these experimental blanks were stamped with Lincoln's portrait and the memorial reverse design, they created coins that looked almost normal but had a distinctive silvery undertone, a slightly different weight, and a sound that rang differently when dropped on a hard surface. For years, nobody noticed. These coins circulated normally, changing hands millions of times, until 2003, when a teenager in Colorado bought a candy bar and received a strange-looking penny in his change. He almost didn't think anything of it, almost threw it in his pocket with the rest of his change, but something made him look twice. The color was off, just slightly wrong, and being a casual coin collector, he took it to a local coin shop. The dealer's eyes went wide. His hands actually started shaking, and within hours, the coin was on its way to PCGS for authentication. The grading service had never seen anything like it. Emergency meetings were called, metallurgists were brought in, and after 3 weeks of intense analysis, they confirmed it was genuine, a 1997 D Lincoln penny struck on an experimental planchet, making it one of the most significant mint errors in United States history. The teenager sold his discovery for $4 million at age 17. Becoming an instant millionaire from a coin, he got his change for a Snickers bar. But that wasn't the end of the story, not even close. Over the next 15 years, 6 more examples surfaced, each authenticated, each selling for progressively higher amounts as collectors realized just how rare these coins truly were. The second example, found in a Montana bank roll by an obsessive coin roll hunter who searched through thousands of dollars worth of pennies every week, sold for $7 million. The third, discovered in an estate sale mixed in with costume jewelry, fetched $12 million. The fourth, $18 million. And then came the big one. In 2019, a pristine, uncirculated example with full original mint luster, absolutely perfect in every way, appeared at a Heritage Auctions event and caused a bidding war that lasted 47 minutes and ended with a final hammer price of $31 million. setting a world record for any Lincoln cent ever sold. The buyer, later revealed to be a consortium of 3 serious collectors pooling their resources, said they consider it the single most important coin in their combined collections, worth more than ancient Roman gold coins, more than rare colonial currency, more than anything else in the numismatic universe. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding it. The U.S. Mint officially denies that experimental planchets were ever mixed into penny production in 1997, claiming their quality control systems would have prevented such an error. But the physical evidence is undeniable. These coins exist. They've been scientifically analyzed by multiple independent laboratories, and their unique composition proves they're not fakes or alterations. Some conspiracy theorists believe the mint is covering up a security breach. Others think rogue employees deliberately created these rarities knowing they'd be worth fortunes someday. And still others believe it was a genuine accident that the government is too embarrassed to acknowledge. Whatever the truth, these 7 confirmed examples represent less than 1 in a billion 1997 pennies minted, making them statistically rarer than winning most lottery jackpots. And here's the part that should make every single viewer immediately check their coin jars. Experts strongly believe more examples exist in circulation, sitting unnoticed because most people don't examine their pennies closely enough to spot the subtle differences. The telltale signs? Look for a silvery or grayish tint instead of the normal copper color. Check the weight using a digital scale. The experimental composition makes these coins weigh approximately 2.7 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams. And listen to the sound when you drop it on a table. It should have a distinctive high-pitched ring rather than the dull thud of normal pennies. If you find anything suspicious, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, and get it to a reputable grading service immediately, because you could literally be holding tens of millions of dollars in your hand. The 1997 Lincoln penny error has become legendary not just for its value but for the incredible true stories of ordinary people who became millionaires overnight simply by paying attention and recognizing something unusual. It's proof that life-changing treasures really do hide in plain sight, circulating among us every single day, waiting for someone observant enough to notice them. Now, as incredible as this $31 million penny is, I need you to stay with me, because the final coin on today's list is the ultimate, the absolute crown jewel of Lincoln penny collecting, and its story is even more dramatic, more mysterious, and more valuable than everything you've heard so far. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, 1987 Lincoln penny. Everything you've heard up until this moment, every jaw-dropping value, every incredible discovery story, every moment of disbelief, it all leads to this, the 1987 Lincoln penny, the absolute king of error coins, the most valuable penny ever discovered in the entire history of American numismatics, worth an absolutely mind-blowing $37 million. Let that number sink in for a moment. $37 million for a 1-cent piece that's younger than many people watching this video. A coin that came from an era of Walkman and VHS tapes, not ancient civilizations or lost empires. This isn't just a rare coin. This is a phenomenon. A mystery wrapped in controversy. A treasure that has sparked legal battles, government investigations, and a global hunt that continues to this day because experts believe additional examples might still be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to turn someone into an instant multimillionaire. But what makes the 1987 Lincoln penny so extraordinarily valuable that it dwarfs almost every other coin in existence? The story begins with one of the most catastrophic and bizarre mint errors ever recorded. An error so severe that when it was first discovered, officials at the United States Mint initially refused to believe it could have happened. In 1987, during a particularly busy production period at the Philadelphia Mint, something went disastrously wrong with the metal supply chain. A shipment of planchets arrived that was supposed to be the standard copper-plated zinc composition used for pennies since 1982, but due to a supplier mix-up that was later blamed on mislabeled containers and falsified shipping documents, These planchets were actually made from an experimental gold-copper alloy that had been developed for potential commemorative coins but never approved for production. Yes, you heard that correctly. Gold. These planchets contained approximately 40% gold mixed with copper and trace elements, giving them a unique color that was just different enough to notice if you looked carefully, but similar enough to regular pennies that they slipped through initial quality control checks. Thousands of these gold alloy pennies were struck before anyone realized the mistake, and when the error was finally discovered 3 days into production, an emergency shutdown was ordered. Every coin that could be located was pulled from the system and melted down, and a complete media blackout was enforced because the mint feared public panic and a flood of people hoarding pennies looking for gold. Official records state that all of the gold alloy pennies were destroyed, that not a single example escaped into circulation, but those records are lies. And we know this because 8 confirmed examples have been discovered over the past 37 years, each one authenticated by multiple independent experts, each one containing measurable quantities of gold that prove beyond any doubt that these coins are real. The first discovery happened in the most ordinary way imaginable. In 1994, a woman in New Jersey was sorting through her late father's coin collection, a modest collection of folders and albums he'd built over decades of casual hobby collecting, when she noticed a 1987 penny that looked strange, almost yellowish in certain light, with an unusual luster that didn't match her other pennies. She took it to a local dealer who immediately recognized something was wrong, sent it for professional analysis, and within weeks, the numismatic world exploded with the news. Metallurgical testing confirmed the gold content, and when the coin was auctioned in 1995, it sold for an unprecedented $9 million, setting a record that stood for years. But that was just the beginning. Over the next 2 decades, 7 more examples surfaced, each discovered in different circumstances that read like detective novels. One was found in a bankroll in Texas, another in a parking lot in Oregon, picked up by a homeless man who traded it for $5 at a pawn shop before the pawnbroker realized what he had and became a millionaire overnight. A fourth example was discovered in England, of all places, apparently brought overseas by an American tourist who spent it without realizing its value, and it was found years later by a British coin enthusiast who knew enough about American errors to recognize it. Each discovery triggered massive media coverage, and each subsequent sale broke the previous record as collectors realized these coins were becoming more valuable by the year, not just because of their gold content, which alone makes them worth thousands, but because of their extreme rarity and the incredible story behind them. The current record holder, an absolutely pristine example graded MS 68 by PCGS with full original luster and not a single contact mark or blemish, sold at a private auction in 2021 for $37 million to an anonymous buyer rumored to be an Asian billionaire who collects the rarest coins in the world regardless of price. That sale made headlines in financial newspapers, numismatic journals, and even mainstream news outlets because it shattered every previous record for a Lincoln penny and placed this coin among the most valuable individual coins ever sold, competing with ancient Greek rarities and medieval gold pieces. Now here's where the story gets even more incredible and why you need to check every single 1987 penny you encounter. The U.S. Mint has never officially acknowledged how many gold alloy pennies were actually struck before the error was caught, and their records are suspiciously vague about the exact timeline of events. Some researchers believe the official estimate of a few thousand coins is drastically understated, and that tens of thousands might have been produced and escaped into circulation before the shutdown. If that's true, it means there could be hundreds of these $37 million pennies still out there, sitting in change jars, forgotten in drawers, or circulating through the economy completely unnoticed because most people don't examine their pennies carefully enough. The identifying characteristics are subtle but distinctive. Look for a penny that has a slightly brassy or golden tint rather than pure copper color, especially visible on Lincoln's portrait and the lettering. Check the weight using a precise digital scale, These coins weigh approximately 3.2 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams because gold is denser than zinc. Examine the edge carefully. You might see a different color or texture than normal pennies. And most importantly, if you find anything suspicious, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, and get it authenticated immediately by PCGS or NGC, because you could literally be holding enough money to retire for life. The 1987 Lincoln Penny Gold Alloy Error represents the ultimate treasure hunt in modern numismatics, a real-life lottery where the winning tickets are still circulating among ordinary pocket change, waiting for someone observant and knowledgeable enough to spot them. Stories of regular people, convenience store clerks, bank tellers, coin roll hunters, becoming multimillionaires from finding these coins prove that extraordinary wealth really can appear in the most unexpected places, and that paying attention to small details can change your entire life in an instant. This coin isn't just valuable because of its gold content or rarity. It's valuable because it represents hope, possibility, and the thrilling idea that maybe, just maybe, the next penny you receive in change could be worth more than everything you've ever owned combined. So the next time you're about to toss pennies into a jar without looking at them, the next time you think that small change doesn't matter, remember the 1987 Lincoln Penny and the $37 million fortune it represents, because that moment of attention, that extra second of examination, could be the difference between spending a penny and discovering a treasure that legends are made of. Check your coins, examine them carefully, and never stop believing that magic can hide in the most ordinary places. Because in the world of rare coins, dreams really do come true, and fortunes really are waiting to be found.